All right. Are we on live? If you can hear me, you guys, then please go ahead and type something into the comments, a little hi, give me some hearts so that I know that you can hear me. And we're going to get started in just a little bit. So thank you so much for being here. And while we're waiting, just to make sure that we're on, if you are watching the replay, I just want to thank you. And if you're watching live, I want to thank you. Be sure to share this if you are. If you're friends with Elle, who's my guest today, then please share it so we can get her message out far and wide. And before we get started, I just want to do a shout out to my husband, actually. And Jeremy, hi. Just thank you so much for all your support. And so some of you guys know that Jeremy works for the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and he's a wildland firefighter. And so during the summer times, he's gone a lot of the time. And right now they're out fighting a fire or keep an eye on an area and fighting like spot fires out in the Prineville area. And so I'm just really grateful because he's doing this, his crew is doing this, wildland firefighters are doing this. So we get to hang out in the comfort of our homes and just enjoy the sunshine and, you know, be at peace. And I'm just grateful that they're out there. And so thank you. And so I'd love to introduce myself, Molly Oyua, Sacred Fire Creative. And I work with visionary women leaders, women and minority entrepreneurs and business owners who are really out there to make a difference in this world. And the way that I do that is through my digital marketing agency, Sacred Fire Creative. And we specialize in branding, web design, and marketing. And, you know, it might sound a bit idealistic that I work with the change makers, people who are really out there to have an impact on the world, but I'm pretty idealistic. So I agree that that's how I feel, and I really believe that every single person can make a difference. If you're watching this and you're inspired, you can make a difference and you can do something that will have an impact on this world. And so one person who is making an impact on this world, who is making a difference, who I'm going to bring out very shortly, is my guest, Elle Starrett Ingalls. And she is the CEO and founder of Pressure Free Living. So I'll just read a little bit about her so that you know something about her when she comes on board. And she holds 3 degrees from the University of Michigan, including an MBA and a Master of Music. She was the very first woman admitted to the orchestral conducting program there. And she also rode for the Women's Varsity 8 for 3 years. She's a professional musician and a former nonprofit executive. She and her husband, Peter, have raised 3 sons. And then she's here to tell us a little bit about pressure-free living. And so before I bring her out, some of you may not know that I went to MIT and I studied aerospace engineering originally, and that was what I did. I can't say that it was the most stressful time of my life, but if you're out there and you're a friend of mine and you went to MIT, then I invite you to share this video because I think that there are people there or who are in stressful situations, and we've all experienced stress, but who can really benefit from this message. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this up and bring her out here. Hi, Elle.
Hi, Molly. How are you?
Welcome aboard here. So thanks so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about pressure-free living? Like, what is it?
What is it?
How did you get started with that?
Pressure-free living, actually I created what I call the pressure-free method. And what I mean by that is no matter what pressures or challenges or stressors come your way, I show people how to stop the release of the fight, flight, stress response. So I actually call it fight, flight, or freeze. because people tend to do one of those three things when they experience any sort of pressure or stress. And some of us thrive on pressure and challenges. And that tends to be the person that has already figured out how to not go underline when they're experiencing stress. But then there's something that will catch you. So that is really what pressure-free means. Some people are a little caught up or what I really mean by that. So I'm so glad you asked. And it's a method I created in 2010 after 35 years of study and research on performance anxiety. I think it's amazing that you studied aerospace engineering, because that's what my guidance counselor told me I was supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
But I chose sports and music, which was something totally different. And went into that creative field. So we do make different choices in our life. And being a performer, I've been using mental toughness tips that I've taught for years and incorporated myself to become a really great performer. And so in 2010, I actually codified it all and created a method. And I've been coaching it ever since. So 7 years of coaching individuals and groups of any size. A lot of students have worked with me. You mentioned students, college students, high school students, even a few middle school students. Because my method, it's not rocket science. You learn it at any age. I have even worked with retired people, retired educators, seniors. So really people of any age can learn this method. It takes time to practice it, just like anything. And that's why I've built courses to help people really go deep and really change their habits of reaction. So that's in a nutshell what pressure-free is.
So how do people know they're supposed to work with you? I mean, do they just say, I feel like everybody experiences stress. Everybody experiences anxiety. How do they know, like, okay, now I'm at that point where I need the pressure-free method?
That's a really great question. I like to call it a continuum of pretty calm to hot mess of stress. So wherever you fall on that continuum, and when I do a group program, I usually ask people, where do you fall? Are you fairly calm, or are you a hot mess of stress, or somewhere in the middle? What's interesting today is that our new normal is pretty stressed out. So if we went back 20, 30 years, the stress level of people really was much less than it is today in our country. So especially with students, the anxieties that students are experiencing, it's never been seen at this level before. So you're right, we all, of course, are dealing with stress and pressure. So who needs to take a look at what I do? I would say kind of do an inventory of yourself and start first with your health. Is your health really where you want it to be? Or is there a genetic predisposition to cancer, to Alzheimer's, to chronic disease? All chronic disease is caused by stress or exacerbated by stress. So if you can get a handle on even the little bit of stress, if you're fairly calm, you're still triggering stress hormones. And I want to give a little secret out to your audience tonight, something that I never knew and made a huge difference and impact for me. But for a male, when a male triggers this fight, flight, or freeze stress response, their body is compromised for up to 9 hours. So the cells of their body take that long to dissipate the hormones out, and you're back to normal. But for women, it's a 24-hour cycle.
Oh, okay.
Bitter pill to swallow. Because when I learned that, I thought, okay, when was the last time I was truly free of these nasty stress hormones? And the answer was maybe age 2.
Oh, wow.
If I'm really honest, because at least once a day I'm going to feel one of these emotions, angry, anxious, annoyed, or ashamed, that's going to cause me to trigger these stress hormones. And my big A is annoyance. I don't get very anxious or angry, but I get annoyed. And so that's really where a lot of my triggers fall. And that's where my own personal work is, to figure out what's triggering me. It's usually an annoyance. So
it's not like, the doctor says your blood pressure's too high and, you need to change up some things, go see Elle. It's like you just assess on your own and you decide, I've had enough of stress, and I don't want to live like this, and I'm going to go see Elle.
Those are really a person that usually comes to me. It's either three reasons. It's the health, it's relationships. Maybe their relationships are deteriorating and they're looking for some way to repair and to be a better person in their relationship and also a better person for themselves. And then the third area is performance. And I'd say that's where the bulk of my clients come from. They either want to perform better athletically, academically, artistically, or in their performance at their jobs. So they're looking to get a new promotion. They realize that they've got to step it up if they're going to make a difference, whether it's building a business or they work for someone and they're wanting to get that next promotion. So it tends to be most of the people who come to me come for performance. And also with that, it's people sometimes who just feel stuck. Mm-hmm. They're so stuck in stress, anxiety, and depression that they really don't know what to do next. And maybe they're already taking pills for it, and maybe they're already trying all these other things, but they're just not working. And so they come to me for that. I know I had one student whose throat was closing up whenever she got anxious. And she's an athlete, so they'd gone to several sports psychologists. They were really trying to find answers. And when she started working with me after the second session, she was completely freed up. It just took 2 sessions of using my method for her to, put the discipline in her life and just change that. So it's sometimes people get scared, it's that scary, like my throat is closing, or, I feel so depressed, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, that kind of a feeling. So, yeah, but it really runs the gamut. And a lot of times I'll have someone come to me for performance, and then they'll say, wow, this really helps me with my migraines. I don't have migraines anymore. This really helps me with my stomach upset. All the different things that stress does to us physically. So it's funny how people will come to me for one reason and then all this other transformation takes place.
So it just helps with all these other symptoms or the other things that they have going on.
Yes. Yeah. I was working with a woman recently who said that even after just the first session, she felt the trajectory of her life change. Like so many aspects of her life, instead of going this way, were starting to go this way. And that was just so profound to me, to hear that. After just one session, she was feeling already this momentum happening for her.
That's great.
So, yeah, it's really exciting. So really, I can't turn anybody away. I mean, if anybody wants to work with me, I'm ready to work with them. And I do a strategy session so that we can assess, am I the right coach for them? Mm-hmm. And they get to ask me questions to find out. And it's a very rare occasion when someone really isn't ready. And one of the questions I have.
So
yeah?
I have a whole bunch of questions.
Go.
So is that okay?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. So because, some things that you were saying just kind of brought it up for me. And so I just want to make sure and get some answers. And so if you're watching this either live or on the replay, hi, Diana. Definitely type your questions into the comment field. I can bring those up and we can ask Elle those questions. And again, if you're watching this, go ahead and press some hearts so I can see it, and also share it on your timeline. That would be really great and really helpful. One of the things that I had a question about was this performance thing. So obviously that to me is like the main thing. I can sort of remember that when I was first talking to you about you and what you did, because you come from such a high performance background, MBA program, and then music, conducting. And then the other thing that we share in common is that I used to row crew. And so crew in itself is like amazing, but like stressful because, you're in this like really intensely competitive environment, like all the time.
And you can't look out of the boat.
And what?
You can't look out of the boat. You have to be really focused.
Really focused. And not just that, but I just remember like the whole training regimen. It was like we had practices in the mornings and we had regattas on the weekends. And then we worked out on our own. Like that didn't even include the workouts. So like doing workouts on our own, like in the middle of our day, in addition to school. So, so I definitely have a lot of friends who rode in either college or in high school, and, you know, can really relate to that part. But I'm wondering, and you talked about this a little bit.
Okay.
So if you're high performance, and we kind of, and you did talk about this a little bit, like you kind of expect to have a little bit of stress, or like you expect that's the norm. What can people expect to have as the norm after they work with you? Do they just never have stress, or is it like it pops up and they can deal with it better? Or how do you describe that to people?
I like to describe it like this. First of all, a lot of people who work with me are type A high achievers. So I like to assure them that the aspect of them thriving and moving is not going to change. They're not going to become couch potatoes after they take my course. You know what I mean? So that's
like, I would be scared to become like a couch potato. Like I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I want to work with Elle. I don't want to just sit around.
That's really true. Yeah. I'd like to reassure them that, you know, when you work with me, you're going to become what I call a type P, which means you're going to be pressure-free. And by pressure-free, it means that every time you come up against something that's challenging to you, you're going to not only have the normal resources that you've always had to deal with it, but by not triggering fight or flight, you actually have your entire brain now working for you. So every time we trigger fight or flight, our cortex depowers. And so it's hard to think and remember and hard to make good decisions. But adrenaline tricks you. So when that first flood of hormones go out, it's mostly adrenaline. They're called catecholamines, but the chief one is adrenaline. So I call it a cocktail. And now you're under the influence. So when that hits your brain and depowers your brain, it feels powerful. However, that's not what's really happening. So when you don't trigger the hormones, your brain is so fully functioning. And the best way to share this is my youngest son is 17, and he started using the method when he was 10. So he has full recall from one read and one lecture or one listen. Because he uses the method, it comes in, it lodges, he can access it, and he doesn't have to reread. He doesn't have to read material twice. In fact, he kind of jokes about it, like he's like, well, maybe I should study, but you know, I just don't do that. It's like it's already there, and it's just been phenomenal to watch, because before he used the method, that's not how he was. He would study and study and read and read, and I remember learning the state capitals with him, and he would just pound it into his head. And so to watch this gradual transformation with him and how his brain works now, it's really phenomenal. So it allows your brain, I like to say that you become even more innovative and creative when you don't trigger these stress hormones. Plus your health, when you can keep your health operating really high. So most people know about adrenaline, but there's a second flood. And the second flood is called glucocorticoids, and they go out later. And that they have all sorts of effects, both of these floods. But one of the effects for glucocorticoids is that your immune system drops up to 40%. So that's why people, when they're stressed out, they get sick. They're fatigued. Also, when the cortisol hits your brain, it's your wake-up drug. So that's why you have trouble sleeping when you're stressed. You may be completely exhausted, but you can't get to sleep. Or you do get to sleep, and at 2, 3 a.m. you're wide awake. And you're looping all of those thoughts again. So those are the things that I help people with. It's amazing when you start to get a real night's sleep and your body truly heals and rejuvenates and regenerates because you haven't triggered those hormones all day. So the key to my program is I help people through my coaching actually go an entire day without releasing these hormones.
Awesome.
And that's the difference.
So I have a few more questions.
Sure.
And I'm starting to hear an echo.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, well, some of the things that you brought up, okay, I want to remind anybody who's watching this, so it's if they are, you know, a high performance and they want to perform better in any situation, whether that's school or like athletes and that sort of thing, but it's also if they're starting to see the effects on their health of stress. So like, for example, like if they tend to get sick often, maybe their immune system is compromised, something like that. Does that sound like about right? Like people would know that's a cue, like I'm too stressed, like I need to do something about this. And if they just want to, have even a better memory, or they want to, like, I think something that you said was, use the full capacity of their brain. And so, of course, I would really like that. I don't want to be like using, not very much of my brain because I'm stressed, or not recognize that I'm stressed and then have that happen, And I feel like we can all relate. We've all been there. And so I just want to kind of remind people of those triggers of like, here's the situation. If you find yourself in these situations, remember Elle, and remember that she has a very easy method that anybody can do that she can help you with. And then the other question that I had from like way back, like I wanted to like, stop, and then you were going into some deep stuff, and I thought that was also very relevant. But one of the things you said way back was about how women process stress differently than men. So I'm wondering if then do you see that you're working with women more or men more, or is it is working with each of them pretty different in terms of your method?
It is different. And of course, each individual is different. So I have to say it's more of if I'm working one-on-one with someone, it's very individual. I did work with one nonprofit corporation that allowed me to split the group by gender. And I told the CEO, who was a private client of mine, I told him that he would reap great benefit from that, and that we would need to he wanted me to do hour-long with each of them. And I said, well, can I do 45 minutes with the men and an hour and a half with the women? And he's like, sure. And we almost went 2 hours with the women. So
there's just like more to work with, or?
I think what happens is stress is it's very emotional. And so when I start coaching and sharing, in fact, with this particular men's group, there was a man going through prostate cancer, and everybody got really teary-eyed when we started talking about stress and how it affects cancer cells, and how important it is to not trigger stress hormones if you're trying to heal or stay in remission. And so you never know who you're going to touch in a group in particular. Women will tend to ask a lot more questions, and men, they really want the how-to. Just give me the steps, let me know what to do, and I'm going to go and do it, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. And so, but again, it's very individual. So sometimes if I'm working with a client who is more cerebral, and we're using more of what I call my mind tools, we'll have really long discussions about that. And I never prejudge. I used to try to prejudge what tools would work best. I have over 40 tools in my course to help people. And I was working with a very young client. She was only 12, a very hotshot basketball player. And as I was working with her, I'm thinking, she's going to like my physical tools, my kinesthetic tools. No, she was actually using my most sophisticated tools. And she was taking her phone, taking these tools and creating things on her phone. So she was making things, charts and dials. It was so cool. So I never prejudge. I lay out all of my tools for my clients because I don't know which ones are going to resonate. And also, once you start working on yourself, tools that resonated at first, as you grow, you're like, oh, now I can use this one, because you've made some progress and you're no longer triggering over, say, some trivial things. Now maybe it's more deeper triggers that you're working on. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating. And the male-female difference. At first, 2/3 of my clients were male because I have 3 boys, and all their friends and their dads were working with me. And so I was working with a lot of males, and I actually joined female networking groups so that I could start to build my female clientele. And so now I've worked with pretty much a half and half. But for a long time, it was like 2/3, 3/4 male. Just because word of mouth, people talking. So I'm comfortable working with both, very much so. And but it's really with an individual, I'm going to cater and create my course specific to your needs and what it is that you're trying to change up or achieve. I love what you said about health signals. Some of my clients work with me because their mom had breast cancer and they want to prevent it. And I knock on wood, but when I talk about the immune system and the power of it, I started my method using it myself 7 years ago. And in 7 years, I've had 3 small colds. The first 2 were in the first year, and I had 1 since then. So 6 years, I've had 1 small cold.
Yeah.
And my whole body has changed. Like every pore of my being has changed because of using the method. So I don't even, in some cases, I don't even recognize who I am now compared to who I was years ago. It's amazing.
Wonderful. So I have another question, and
Yes.
it's really about like how people work with you. So you work with groups and you also work one-on-one, and it sounds like when you work one-on-one, you've got like a customized program depending on what they need, and then you offer a series of different tools that they can sort of choose from, and you have over 40 tools. So do you get to see, like when you're working with groups, are they like corporate groups, and do you get to see the effects later on, or how do you know like the progress people are having with it if you're working in these groups?
With groups, if I'm working with an athletic team, the progress that we see is well, you see it. I worked with one team that was an under 500 team, which means they were losing more of their games than winning. And I worked with them mid-season, actually kind of later in the season. And I just did a 90-minute kind of 2 sessions in one smooshed together intro for them. And they ended up going in college team. They ended up going into the postseason conferences. So they completely turned it around. And so it's really exciting when I can work with a team. I worked with a hockey team and actually coached my entire course with that. And I still have boys from that team in touch with me, sharing how their lives changed because of it.
That's
Not
so
on the
amazing. Wow.
It's amazing. And it really is. And then with when I'm working with a corporate team, well, one of the measures I see is do they have me back? So there's an organization. So I have a school that I worked with a year ago, and of course they have very limited professional development dollars, and usually you always want to change that up. But they brought me in 2 years in a row, and they keep extending how much time they work with me. So that's a sign too. And because I got to go back a whole year later and work with this group, we spent the beginning like really, I wanted to know what they were experiencing, what they were learning, and how things had changed. And it's really fun. Again, what a lot of people say to me when I work with a corporate group is that the people who bring me in, the trainers that bring me in, they say that people say, thanks so much for bringing someone who gave us something we could use at work and at home. Because as much as we want to separate them, if we're going through messes at home, it affects our work, and vice versa. So some people just bring so much stress and tension from their workday home that they're not nice to their families, or they're so exhausted they can't even play with their children. So it's really neat when you can start to change that. So that's something I hear a lot from people who bring me in is, I got to use this at home and at work. It wasn't just strictly a professional development, for my workplace kind of thing. So.
Okay. So, people are recognizing that they want to improve their relationships, and so that might be something they're feeling like stress is a factor, and that's another reason that they can call you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It seems to me like it's kind of limitless. Like I feel like anybody can work with you, and then once they learn the method, then they have these tools under their belt, so they can continue on for a little while, and then kind of re-up and learn some more skills from you and that sort of thing.
Right. I have a 6-session intro course.
Okay.
And you can take that intro course. I've built it in audio, video, and 6-week online course, and then of course live with me. And I coach live. I have a Hawaiian customer right now, Boston. I'm in Michigan, and because of the internet, I can coach anywhere. Puerto Rico. It's been really fun to touch people. People in Africa I work with.
Wow.
So, yeah, so people find me. It's really wild how they find me. And so that one-on-one is like, then I'm just launching this month my first, and that's really been a work in progress. 6 months I've been working on creating this 12-month program. And it's because I realized that, you and I, like rowers, I had the same coach for a few years, teaching me how to row. I had the same violin teachers in my youth and other teachers for long stretches of time, be the violinist that I am today. And so we take to break these habits of reaction and really move into becoming pressure-free. So some of my clients have come on a refresher course with me and just gone deeper with me, just like you mentioned. But now I'm actually building a 12-month course for people who are really serious about, whether it's health, performance, or relationships, just really making a serious change in their life. And again, changing that trajectory, because we're not ever maintaining. It's either going up or going down. It's subtle, but when you can start making those little tweaks and going this way, it's pretty exciting.
So that is so awesome. And it sounds like the next step for your business is really this 12-month program that you have coming up, and getting more people aware of what you're doing. And the thing that I guess I'm wondering is there someone out there, like, I don't know, like an Olympic athlete or somebody out there who you see in the news and you're like, they need my help?
There's
is there somebody, do you know what I mean? Like, is there somebody who's like, yeah, we can get this message out to them?
Yes, here they are. Here they are. I have a dream of coaching Sid Crosby. So cool. Sid Crosby is a hockey player and one of the most amazing hockey players ever. And every time he gets a concussion or he's somehow injured, it's like, I really want to work with him because I help athletes heal so quickly from injury. So he's on my list. That is a dream client.
What team is he with?
He's with the Penguins.
Penguins. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh.
Where is that? Pittsburgh? Okay.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
If you know anybody who knows somebody with the Pittsburgh Penguins, send this to him. So yeah. I think that would be
second one, and this would be amazing. I have a second cousin who pitches for Miami Marlins.
Okay.
And he just got news that they're moving him down to the minors. And I want to get a hold of him, but I left New Hampshire decades ago. So I'm trying to get a hold of Jeff Locke. So if anybody can connect me to Jeff, that would be amazing. I'm his cousin, and I know that I could just do amazing things with him.
That's so neat. See? So we're calling on the power of the internet.
We are.
Who knows somebody from the Florida Marlins? Is that right? Florida Marlins?
Miami Marlins. Miami. Yeah, isn't it Miami Marlins? Miami.
Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
Miami. He just got traded from Pittsburgh, actually, to Miami. So he's there now in Florida. And then when it comes to like superstars, both the two people that I see that are constantly talking about their performance anxiety is Adele and Lorde.
Okay.
Adele and Lorde. They're performing under huge duress.
Yeah.
And it's harming them. It's harming their people closest to them. Adele, it's hurting her baby. It's like, you need to fix this. It's not okay.
So can I tell you, I don't really follow the news, but I did hear that Adele had to cancel all of her last concerts. This is just really recent, like
wow,
something, because she really damaged her vocal cords. And so is this not so relevant to what you're saying right now? Like, it's like you called it. You were like, hey, Adele, you're stressed and I can help. Mm-hmm. It's not just you're stressed, do something. It's like, here we have a way to help you.
Yeah. I've helped professional singers who were losing their voice regain their voice in a matter of hours so they could actually sing that night. That's amazing. So it's really, really powerful. And if those are such an amazing question to ask, because those 4 people have been on my mind. So.
I just commend you for like having that like solid, like you are just like, bam, these are the people who need my help and who've been, like you said, they've been on your mind, but that you have that awareness. And I love that it's a mix of who you are, because it's athletes and musicians, and that's your background. And so, I mean, to me, it's like, if you didn't mention something about that, I would say like, there's got to be somebody out there who's like your top, who you're thinking, man, if they have this, they'll have the edge. And, as an athlete or performer, you're really concerned about, being on top. That competition is really tough. And so instead of focusing on that, we have this pressure-free method. And so I want to be sure, and as we're wrapping up now, just call out that this is the name of your company, Pressure Free Living. So you can look that up. If you type in Pressure Free Living in Facebook, you'll be able to find Elle's group. So please, if you're watching this, go ahead and like that. And then also pressure-free.com. And so that's where you can find all sorts of information, and also how to get in touch with Elle. So Elle, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about how they can work with you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I love to give a free strategy session. That's an opportunity for me to understand where you're coming from, what's up with you, discover where you really want to go, and give you a chance to learn more about do it and what's possible for you. And if it feels like it's a good fit, and I'm very honest about that, if I don't feel I'm the right coach for you, I'll let you know that. So it's completely obligation free. It's our chance to get to know each other. And I can do that by phone, webinar, or if you live in Michigan, in person. And the link to that is actually right on my website. So when you go to my website, you'll see a little link where you can click right to my online calendar and book a session with me. That is really the best way to see whether you want to work with me personally or you have a group that you would like me to work with. And I have worked with groups of every size, so it's so that's the best way for us to really see if this is a good fit for you.
That's wonderful. I love what you're doing, and I think it's such an amazing gift that you have. And just coming from the background that you have and how relevant it is, like across the board for everything. And then just me personally, like knowing, okay, I've been in a lot of stressful situations and seeing where, okay, it could have really helped. And I can tell you, even just, when I was rowing, we would have done anything to win. So like, we want to win, we want to be pressure free so that we can perform at a higher level, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And do you have anything you want to add? I know that you had some questions you wanted me to ask, and I want to make sure, did I get all the questions?
I think it's fine. Yeah. There's so much here. You and I could talk all night, and we could solve the world's problems because we take every little thing apart. And I think there's so much to it though. And when we are actually, there's like a bigger mission. It's a mission of world peace. Mm-hmm. When we say things and do things we don't really mean, it's because we're under duress. It's because we've triggered these stress hormones. And so that's when we're not civil. That's when we're not nice. And so I've changed so much that way. You can ask my family by using my method on myself, because I was a high reactor and I want things a certain way. And, a lot of us high achievers are like that. And so it's fascinating to move where your language is now actually working in a better way for you. So there's a lot to it. And I just feel so happy that you were willing to jump on and work with me tonight. It's so great.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Elle. And so for anybody who's watching this out there, if you're interested, if you are a visionary woman leader and you have a big message to leave, then you can go ahead to discoversacredfire.com. And if you fill out the application, I can take a look. and see if you'd be a good fit to be on and to, get your message out. I want to definitely shout out to all the people we've had on so far, and just know that whatever you are doing really matters, and that, I really believe one person can make a difference. So let's go out there and do some amazing things. And if you are looking for some help with branding, web design, or marketing, and you don't have to be like in person, you can be anywhere. I've worked with clients in Massachusetts, in Maryland, in Texas, all over. Just go ahead to my website, which is sacredfirecreative.com. Take a look. And if you're interested in working with me, go ahead and fill out that application. It is, again, that was discoversacredfire.com. You can use the same one. And, just let me know if there's a way that we can help. So we're here to help. Other than that, we're just going to say bye. Thank you.
Bye.